Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about the August 2024 Comprehensive Astrology. In this video, as usual, I will be giving you some intuitive messages for the month ahead, as well as pulling some astrology charts for the beginning and end of the month up onto the screen, and talking about some of the planetary transits we will be having, and hopefully coming together with some good advice for August 2024. This is a very interesting month ahead, as I have been getting a lot of pings about the month of August all year as I've been filming. Some really positive feelings and some more that are kind of like, maybe some things are coming to a head, or there are some like also negative issues that we've been dealing in our lives that really come front and center here. I've talked about this in a few of the recent videos, which I will link below in the description box. While you're there, you should check out this channel on Patreon, where we do weekly tea chats as well as monthly sign-by-sign content if you wanted to see what this month is doing for your sign itself. So yes, August 2024. Okay. First of all, it's the difficulty that I'm feeling about this month is like coming from a bunch of different areas. It's not necessarily that I feel that there's any like one consolidated adversarial force that is like causing us a lot of havoc. That's not so much what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like we're dealing with things kind of like boiling or simmering in a lot of different areas. The entirety of Leo season this year is kind of an overheating energy. First off, I'm seeing a lot of heat-related disasters. I was actually talking about this on the channel before. It came up in the news, but yes, by now there are a lot of things in the news about how we're having like a lot of heat emergencies, and we're having heat-related disasters, and it's affecting a lot of different industries and the health of a lot of people. So that is something that will be extending into August. First off, yes, and it's not just the weather, okay? Of course, it is the weather. This is the summer, and during the summer in the Northern Hemisphere, of course, we get, depending on your location, a lot of heat seasonally. This is not that complicated. But the reason why it's kind of being perhaps more extreme than usual, or maybe we're more sensitive to it than usual as well, is because we have certain elements inside that have been overheated or overdone for a long time. So sensitivity has also increased here, as a lot of us are no longer as desensitized as we used to be. If we have been working since the 2023 year cycle to increase our sensitivity and to tone down the degree to which we've been overdoing ourselves, or, in that sort of 9 of Wands or 10 of Wands territory, as I've been seeing was important ever since then. By now we would start to see that, okay, our sensitivity is growing, and it's maybe more difficult for us to put ourselves into situations that are unfair or overdone or overheated. So yes, one main thing about August is sensitivity increases, while at the same time there's an external sense of things heating up or becoming more intense. So when you combine those two elements, you get a lot of like realizations happening in August, like, okay, this area is not right for me, or perhaps it's not about the area. Maybe it's like, I have to now re-envision or regroup or restructure many of the different elements of my life. And the degree to which August 2024 is a hard month for people is determined by the rigidity that they have in regards to their lifestyles and experiences. So it's common here, after we had Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus, and a very strong dominance of the yin element. I've talked about that in videos. Again, those are linked in the description box. Ever since 2023, we've had dominance of the yin element, the modality, the feminine, as we've had mostly water and earth transits. That has led us to develop a lot of strong interior muscle memory, and what that is causing is like maybe a fear or a difficulty to try new things, or to want to step out into like a new undeveloped area of our lives. At the same time, I don't necessarily feel that now is a good time to be stepping into the undeveloped. Of course, we still have a lot of activity in the anaretic degree of Capricorn and Pisces. Pluto is moving back towards it. It's going to be at 0 degrees all month of Aquarius, so it's connecting already back to the final degree of Capricorn. as well as having Neptune at 29 of Pisces. And actually Uranus is getting very close to the energetic degree of Taurus. It's not there yet, but it's moving into 27 degrees of Taurus this month. So that's a lot of mature, advanced yin feminine energy at the macro collective level, also having Regulus in Virgo. Okay, it's a macro collectively feminine time that we're in. And that is going to play a large role in August, and it's going to feel a lot better once we get to Virgo. But Leo just feels kind of hard to me, and I just think that we all have to be prepared for it. Just some general advice about moving through Leo season, so like July 21st through August 21st. Something could feel a bit oppressive about that time. It could be like a difficult adaptation that's happening, but positive, okay? And we just have to have space made for ourselves. Some of us just have to go on vacation during that time, and perhaps not too glamorous of a vacation. Perhaps it's not going, 5,000 miles away to some island or something. Maybe it's a very small, toned down vacation, as I feel that anything that's too dramatic or theatrical during this time, or just overblown, flying across the world, trying things we've never tried before, I don't feel that it's great during this time. We do maybe have to be in contextual places here as we're building up, of course, to quite a chaotic energy line from now through November and December of 2024. We might not want to be in a lot of unknown areas, on a whim. So spontaneity does have to be reined in. That's one thing that the especially advanced, mature feminine energy does not love very much, is a lot of like misplaced spontaneity or a lot of impulsiveness. So definitely taking a look at your impulses during this time would be highly important, and to not allow, or that's kind of a, yes, a very dominant yin type of way to put it, but maybe a different type of wording, to be keeping an eye on impulses, to have sort of a self-governance in place where it's like, okay, I have this impulse, or I want to like spend this money, or I want to go somewhere I've never been before, or I want to create a lot of new externalized versions of myself. Leo could be a little bit desperate this year about that, because there's going to be a very temporary masculine abundance as we move through Leo season, and in the context of having all this macro feminine energy, it could kind of feel like now's my only chance to do something, or I've got to like strike out really fast, or make some sort of like major expenditure or major move of energy, time, or money. And that's just, by the time we get to Virgo season at the end of August, it may not have the foundation to have really been appropriate. So yeah, I don't want to be the harbinger of bad news at all for people who've been wanting to like really step out on a limb during this time. But can you kind of see how like during this time, okay, August 2024, knowing that we're moving up through September, October, and November of 2024, and then, December and January into 2025. It kind of seems like a time where there's like a tightrope to me. It feels like it's so easy to like get imbalanced on one side of the other. Also, a big thing about August is the South Node is going to be spotlighted in Libra by Mars and the North Node. So we're going to have North Node of Aries and Mars, the natural ruler of Aries, sextile, and they're going to exactly point out the South Node in Libra. So it's going to be so clear in August also where imbalance is happening. And the good middle way is going to really be the way for a lot of people here. But it's going to be really easy to get imbalanced with things if we're not careful. And there are times in life where we need to think about the polarities, and we need to, really push for one side or the other of our lives. But I don't really feel like it's now, because it just feels like there's a momentum that's going to have to play out. And stable securities are important to maintain here to what degree we can. Physically, it's not that bad, okay? Especially if you're keeping things kind of like conservative in your own experience here. What I mean is like not pushing yourself into territory that you're too far out of your comfort zone, because the universe will be doing that to some extent itself. So we will all kind of be pushed out of our comfort zone without trying here. So we want to meet that maybe with keeping certain securities in our life as stable as possible. At the same time, if certain securities are jeopardized here, that would be something that we don't want to lose our minds over as well, though we don't want to self-jeopardize, or you see the sort of difference that I'm talking about here. we don't want to gamble everything away because maybe there's going to be a bill anyway, or maybe we don't want to put everything on the line because that might be assuming too much about not having to, come forward to any obligation in the near future. Unexpected obligations could be something that come up in the latter part of 2024. So here is an important time to regroup and heal. Cancer season, okay, which I talked about if you wanted to, go back to July comprehensive astrology and check in with that. I talked a lot about regrouping and healing and keeping things kind of like chill and simple. Because again, I just feel like a lot of people have to have this reinforced in their lives, because without the reinforcement of like, okay, now is an okay time to heal. I don't have to go a million miles an hour here. I don't have to be over the top here. There could be this like inner feeling that's like, I'm not doing enough, or now is the time for me to like go big or go home. Again, we're in a dragon archetype this year, which always wants us to like kind of do more or achieve some type of like level that we've never been to before. But because it's the wood element, it really tones it down a little bit and really places a lot of that potential into a material realm, not a motivation-based realm, not a like inspirational or visual realm, but like a wholly material realm. So that means that we have to stretch time out a little bit. Things are going to take longer to get done. It's not going to be instant results. It's not going to be overnight riches, okay? There's no get rich quick, okay, in Wood Dragon, and there rarely ever is anyway. But especially now. So if you have any ideas like, how can I do it all overnight? How can I speed stuff up? I would really slow things down instead. It's a wonderful time. Okay, so I'm still feeling like Cancer season is projecting, even though we'll be out of Cancer season in August. There's going to be some type of residual energy from Cancer that is still kind of like working with us to just like actually purify our psyche a little bit, because I feel like there's a lot of hanging on grit and thrusting energy and like, kind of climbing, and Leo can be that way too. Like, if you've ever seen like a cat like climb a tree or something, it's a very kind of arduous and and forceful kind of energy with the claws, and everything. So we always have to watch out for that. That's one of the shadows of Leo. It can climb too, forcefully, right? And that's fine if it's a tree, but when other people are involved, it can cause a lot of pain. So definitely making sure that you're not climbing too forcefully, making sure that you're not being too overbearing and overwhelming, as the shadow sides of Leo will be fully visible this year because there's no energy in the outer planets to really give it an appropriate foundation. So to climb during this time, or to push up the social system, or to like be too fiery right now, it's just not going to maybe feel warranted to other people involved. Instead, I feel that we need to go the other direction. So sometimes we need to work our way down here. Sometimes we need to tone things down, reduce the budget, and allow for more things to kind of like reserve in our lives. As I also feel, and I was talking about this in the July video too, I feel that there's a current right now. There's kind of like, because again, of all the water energy, Saturn and Neptune and Pisces, the big Cancer season with the water trines that we just came from, there's a current that's beyond our control. We can't force it to be what it's not. We have to work with the current. Sometimes it takes longer than we expected. And the more that we try to fight against that, the more that we're wearing ourselves out and not, like if there's anything in your life that has this feeling, I would just allow things to kind of like coast. And let that coasting result present to you data and intel about the situation. And then maybe you can make a grander decision, or a decision that has a better leverage that works more with the current momentums, rather than enforcing something, in that sort of shadowy Leo way, rather than enforcing and pushing and bearing down on it to be perhaps operating in a way that is just not harmonious with the way that things have changed. So that's another thing. If you guys remember in the 2024 year ahead forecast, I was talking about how after we get past 2024, there's going to be maybe a culture or there's going to be a collective psychology about the pre-2024 and the post-2024 way of being or acting. And I think that has a lot of meaning that we will start to see in August. Perhaps technological innovation. There's going to be ways that things get antiquated after August, and that could also be why it's a hard month for a lot of people, because there's going to be a lot of people being like, oh, I've worked so hard to like have this career. Now it's antiquated because of AI, or I've worked so hard to like create this type of, system in my life, and now it's creating something that doesn't require a system to create. Like it's just kind of like antiquated. So don't let this be something that jeopardizes your sense of well-being. It's a collective issue right now. If you have any antiquation in your life, pull it back a little bit, reduce things, like let it coast, let it be what it is. We're all kind of like going through this to some degree right now. And just kind of like trust that it is a part of the collective karma, and it's not necessarily something that we need to take personally. So not taking things personally. Oh my gosh, you guys, is that not the most simple way to think about the best way to work through this time? It's like a lot of people are taking things so personally. It's another shadow of Leo. It sometimes gets like really interior. Actually, the collective fifth house, it comes after the fourth house, so it's still a house that's dealing with the internal identity and the self, right? So even things that have nothing to do with an individual can be taken very personally in August. So the whole conclusion that I'm coming to here is not taking things so personally, allowing the data and intel to be received judiciously and neutrally by you, with the South Node in Libra being pointed out, and not being like afraid or desperate about the results, but like just letting it kind of be what it is, and maybe redirecting a little bit based on the current, and just letting this be kind of like, King of Swords, Queen of Swords energy. Like, let's not over personalize it. Let's judiciously navigate it and work with these momentums to maybe have like an easier time moving through life. Also, okay, what else do I want to talk about before the astrology charts? Okay, the first thing that I had written down was just unrelenting situations. So there could be situations in our lives that are unrelenting. This will clear up probably by like February or March of 2025, though there's already, I think, a way that things are getting more properly proportioned in August. And if you wanted to kind of help yourself get on the momentum of properly proportioning things in your life, having things sized appropriately, scaled appropriately, that would be a way also to maybe accelerate or invite more logistically appropriate or proportional life experiences. There could just be a lot of things overgrown coming into August too. Okay, I also had written down that there could be a lot of progression and changes in love and romance. Let's go ahead and pull up the astrology charts, because that had to do with Venus and Mars. So let me just write down the timestamp. Okay, yes, so Mars is applying from Uranus to Jupiter throughout August. We had a Mars-Uranus conjunction in July, and now it's going to apply from Uranus to Jupiter. And then we also have Venus applying from Sun to Mercury. So Venus and Mars are both applying. To me, it feels like there's a transformation in love relationships. It feels like a lot of people are going to start thinking more about partnerships and love, as maybe all of this, capitalistic economical stuff is causing people to think more about like the leverage and relationship aspects of their life, because it's so hard to do things totally on your own right now and to be an island. So August is actually an interesting month to like rethink your love and romantic life. And it's actually a positive time, I think, for rethinking your love language, and also rethinking how you're connecting to people, putting more parameters or shifts onto that sector of your life. August is not a bad month for it. Maybe it's in reflection, maybe it's in contemplation, maybe it's not even connecting to other people. But yeah, because we do have Jupiter in Gemini now, and it's getting, a lot of progress into Gemini, it's going to be a more sociable time, and it's going to be a more connective time naturally. Speaking a little bit more about Mars applying from Uranus to Jupiter, this is one of the reasons why I'm advising, safety and, rest and simplicity in August, because Mars conjunct Uranus is always an accident indication. That will have been something that was also coming from July, and it's already kind of cooling down a little bit, especially as it moves up towards Jupiter. But I think what could be possible, like July could bring a little bit of a, train wreck for some people, or at least a question about certain structures in our lives. But Mars conjunct Jupiter is wonderful. So Mars conjunct Jupiter is strategy, grand strategy, and being able to find solutions. So it kind of goes from maybe something not working right in July, or being accident prone, or problematic. But by the time Mars applies to Jupiter in August, it's going to give us a lot more capacity to really solve problems. Jupiter is debilitated in Gemini, and then Mars will be conjuncting it. So always whenever Jupiter is debilitated, or it has conjunctions in a debilitated placement, it just had Jupiter conjunct Uranus earlier this year, which Uranus is debilitated in Taurus. So that definitely intensified that. There will be something like that here as well, but it's in a different life sector, which deals more with communication and connection with other people. Although I don't feel that it's all bad. I feel that it could actually just put a lot of spotlight and clarification onto the health of our communication and connection with other people. Saturn is continuing retrograde. It moves retrograde 2 more degrees throughout August in Pisces. I believe that's from 17 to 15 Pisces. I'm just looking back at this chart. No, it's from 19 to 16 Pisces. So that's going to be asking us really hardcore why we have certain impulses. What is the escapism quotient in our lives? Are we trying to run away from something? Are we escaping from our potential? I think these are the hardest questions that August is asking, because these are a lot more substantial and long running than some of the smaller issues that are coming up. But yeah, a lot of us are going to have to be resting and contemplating, and it's going to bring straight up to the surface. You might be escaping your potential through some of these, impulses that you're having in your life. Certain routines or certain cycles that you're having might be an escape from something that is really important for your development. So we have to look at the progression of our development straight on in August, in a very sober way, and I do feel that the universe will be putting people in places where that is conducive. It's not meant to be something that's I just can't find the time, or I can't find the energy to actually think about my life progression. No, a lot of us are going to be put directly into places where that's something that we have to do. And I feel also with Saturn retrograde this month and Neptune retrograde, so we have both Saturn and Neptune retrograding, right, in the sign of Pisces. And that's just kind of hard, you all. It's kind of over a lot of people's heads. It's hard to kind of interpret it. It could be confusing, but it is something that requires just a lot of meeting halfway. Also not getting stuck on things for too long. If you're trying to solve a problem, or you're trying to focus on something, there's a small amount of time where you're very effective there. I could see some people here thinking about things for hours, obsessing on things, thinking on it, revisiting things over and over again in the head, and not resolving, not coming to resolution with it. So you might have to regulate that a little bit in your life. You might have to say, okay, for 30 minutes, I'm going to think about this problem, and then I'm going to move on, because there's only a small amount of time when we're using our super strong focus capacity. There's only a small amount of time where that really works. And sometimes the more you focus on things, the more you think about things, the more they get confusing. So we have to maybe learn lessons here about focus, about confusion, and about the way that these things operate around the choices that we make in our lives, certain routines, certain daily habits, how those affect our levels of focus and confusion, what role is impulse and addiction playing in all of that, These are like the main questions of this time, more than anything that I've talked about in this reading, because Neptune and Saturn are definitely the dominant forces right now. And yes, Pluto is at 0 degrees Aquarius all month, so that's just a wild card all around. It's the last time that, well, it's not the last time, but it's the last time that's retrograding back into Capricorn. And yes, it will move direct later this year and hit 0 again. So it's the next to the last time, maybe. It might retrograde again and go back to 0, I'm not sure. But it will not go back into Capricorn again after this year. But yes, that's experimentation. That is drawing up new systems. That is creating new systems of all sorts in your life. And it's a process of trial and error. It deals a lot with AI and technology and innovation. So there's something of an experimental nature to AI and innovation right now. That could be just a chaotic wild card. It could be super helpful in some ways, and it could also be causing a lot of just chaos in general. So there's that element of August as well. Uranus is also advancing, as I said, direct. So definitely technological innovation in August, definitely things getting antiquated as a result of that, and maybe just a little bit of chaotic trial and error. It's going to be a month that brings in a lot of changes to the collective psychology. And as I said, I feel that there is a pretty strong line of demarcation around this time of 2024 that we will really recognize. So yes, definitely come and check out your signs individual reading on Patreon. I'm going to link that below. I have all of the signs readings for each one for the month of August. If you want to get more insight, it's a wonderful, valuable service. And it is what makes this channel possible. Do hit the subscribe button and thumbs up this video to get it out there, and I hope you all have a wonderful August. Much love. Bye.